2. Hey, what's going on, fam? Chef Philly D.
Gemini.
I always say Mr. Gemini.
Mr. Gemini.
But that's just me. I always put the Mr. in there. That's. I'm telling you. Welcome again. This is episode 11.
11.
Which
I don't know. Whatever.
Which if you did the green room,
it's 1 and 1.
Well, yeah. So episode 11, 1-1, and we're gonna talk about agreement number
1,
which makes it 1-1-1 or
with the echo
3. And we're trying
right
to
or 3 exactly, which is
we got 3 1s. Episode
know.
11 about agreement 1. So you got 11 and 1. That's 1-1-1. That's 3.
We're always trying to do a tie-in. So
bring it back around again. It's the echo.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's the supposed to be.
Oh, excuse me. I was a little too close.
That was gross.
Yeah.
That was not the bring it back around again we want to talk about.
I moved slightly away from the mic. I mean, I was.
Well, yeah, you did. You're more cognizant or aware.
Right. I mean,
of the equipment. Yeah, you're programming yourself.
I could have just right on top of it.
Yeah, you're not booger. That's not how this works. You're not ogre.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody writes in the comments on that one. From the diaphragm. Yeah, so agreement 1.
It's like from the toes. Anyway, agreement 1.
Yeah,
so
agreement 1. You
be
wanted to bring
impeccable
it up.
with your word.
Right.
So
so if you can give people a quick overview, what are we talking about? Agreement number 1 is what? Like, where's it from? Where what's the?
Oh, from the 4 Agreements, the book that you keep telling me about that I have yet to read. And you said that's about a mystic or a shaman or something that traveled all over, like studying different religions and boiled it all down to, like, 4 basic rules of conduct, basically.
Right. It was
4 agreements to live by.
He may or may not have been shaman.
I think you referenced shamanism.
He was a spiritual leader. I'll say that. Whether it was based in a specific religion or not, or an ism or whatever, but spiritual leader. And yeah, he tried to do like it's the South American 10 Commandments in a sense, right? Take all the religions or spiritual isms.
But he found he could boil it down to
4 agreements.
4 agreements.
Well, it wasn't even him. There was multiple individuals that worked on it with him. So I mean, this was a group effort.
It was a collab.
Yeah, but I love it because it's the same joke I did before. It's like, I give you these 15, 10 commandments. It's almost like, I'm going to give you 10 commandments. Oh, that's too much to write. We're going to give you 4 commandments, But it's, I like they boiled it down.
Yeah, it was boiled down. It was, free-based. It was, you pull the essentials, because I think you were telling me when I handed you the 12 Rules for Life, right? That you said...
Oh, the Jordan Peterson book.
The Jordan Peterson book. You kept telling me, it's the same principle, but you can boil it down to 4. And I was like, well, sometimes you need to be a little bit more extravagant in your explanation of why certain things are...
And that's where I agreed with you in that aspect, where, the fact that it was like 12, I felt there was... not so much like redundancy, but additional overlap that almost seemed like redundancy, where it's like...
But they're both important if you look at it that, yeah.
Like, to me, the idea of being impeccable with your word. Being impeccable with your word implies a heck of a lot more. So, yeah, the Jordan Peterson version, the 12 rules...
It's beyond honesty. Yeah,
doing the 12 rules kind of like breaks the 4 rules down into the sub-rules, almost, in a sense. So, in that regard, I totally dig it. It's a great book.
That's what you were saying. Like, you could
that's how I felt.
You could kind of, mentally, you could scoop those all up into one of those 4 categories somehow.
Whether it was like subcategory or like supporting component to, or
But and I think that's the principle behind what they were trying to do, was they were trying to boil it down to give you something that was very easy to swallow, very... if it's only 4 rules to follow, there may be a lot to each rule.
Well, that's why number 1 is number 1, and they explain that in the book.
Well, because everything is kind of built, that's your foundation. Let's say, if you're going to build a sturdy house, right? You can't build your foundation on sand. You got to build it on something a little bit more sturdy. So then you where were we?
Number one.
So
be impeccable with your word. It boils it down. So
and you keep telling me that when you look at that, when you define that, it's not just outwardly like when I'm speaking with other people, but
yeah, you have to be honest. I think that's the word you're using. I
like
agree.
being straightforward and honest with yourself.
Yeah, first and foremost. Well, because that's the thing is, if you're not able to make a statement that you're able to keep and then look yourself in the face in the mirror, basically, right? If you're not able to look yourself in the face after you make this statement or idea, then it's like that probably wasn't really honest. And in order to get to that level of honesty, you have to ask yourself some pretty tough questions, right? You know, it's not just like a yes or no kind of a thing. You know, you got to ask those gray area questions and like dive deep, and you have to be honest to yourself about it. Yeah, and that's if you can do that, you know, if you can face your own demons in a sense, and then like make that do, that's where it's at.
And
that's
being honest with yourself means kind of just like you have to take a moment and mentally put yourself maybe in someone else's
thought
shoes,
experiment,
right? In someone else's shoes, which is always, you know, it's always a good thing to do. You know, anytime you find a way to try and view maybe how you come off to an outsider.
Well, yeah,
because it creates that.
I think the thing you always say, your dad always said, is, you know, think about where somebody else is at, and it's like, dude, you could always be worse off, right? Like
as bad as you think you have it is, yeah, that's the way he always put it.
Yeah, but it gives you that perspective. So that's
someone else has got it worse.
Yeah, and that's why I always love the adage of you're always going to be the bad person in somebody's story. You know, I paraphrase it because I want to be PC about it. Like, we need to be all inclusive in our terminology. I think it's only fair. You know, start to use terms like individuals because, you know, collectives, things of that nature. That's just me. I like, if you're gonna come correct, gotta come correct, right? I might have some like ghetto ass language and like some backwoods speak and stuff, but I'm still gonna be intelligent about it. But yeah, it's no matter what, because you can be like straight up impeccable. I think I've probably on the B sides, but Mother Teresa is like this amazing, perfect person, right? You know, when took care of the lepers, all that kind of good stuff. Like, you know, fed everybody. Like, she was just like this bomb chick, right?
Yeah, and like never afraid that she's like it's gonna rub off on me. You know, it's just she was out there in the thick of it, not a care in the world, because
not gonna work anymore.
Not gonna
yeah, not a care in the world about it. And yeah, you're right. And the cool thing about that is, it's like, I'm pretty sure there was probably at least one person that saw her doing that and just talked mad trash. Like, she's going to ruin the whole area. Like, she's just going to bring it in. And just So no matter how impeccable you are, you're still going to be the bad person in somebody's story. So as we're talking about taking it, you know, hey, look at somebody else's perspective and, like, you know, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Think about it in that fashion. Like, yeah, that's a great example.
Was it you can please all of the people some of the time, but you can't please, but you can only please some of the people all the time, or something.
No, oh yeah, we're gonna
leave it totally butcher it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, you're gonna leave it to me to butcher it.
Oh, I don't know. We can both butcher it.
You know, I think it's something you can please some of the people all of the time, most of the people some of the time, but you'll never please all of the people all of the time. Like, it's just not even gonna happen. Or you'll never please all of the people some of the time. Or I butchered the first. I got like 2/3. Put me on the spot with this. I gotta start with like.
And you can pick your friends.
And you can pick your nose.
And you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friends.
I knew where dad joke.
No, but that was when we were kids, man.
But
now that I'm telling, yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
When you're 5, it's funny.
Last time I heard that when I fell off my dinosaur. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how. What was it like at the commencement of Dirt?
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's how old.
Yeah.
You
How
are.
was it when you thought of the wheel?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was your grandfather.
Oh, yeah. He was a pretty smart guy.
Well, that's how old. It doesn't make you like super old. It just makes you like way older than me, I guess. That was like horrible on my part. I apologize for the sadness of that dad joke. It's just where like dad jokes go awry.
Yeah, you can't really pick on me, can you? Right.
Well, I mean, if I'm going to be impeccable with my word.
With your fort. looming around us.
Dude.
Oh no, you didn't.
Oh no, you didn't.
Oh no, you didn't.
Yeah, no. So I made an appropriate enclosure, fort style, where there is surroundings all around us, and I even made a pathway that would be noted as a doorway or a threshold. And he took apart the doorway, which removed the threshold, which means that when we entered, we didn't walk into the room of imagination. You ruined it.
I ruined it.
Not really. It's just that's how I went with it. It was kind of funny.
The threshold, the speak of,
the imagination threshold.
Is a towel.
I think. The imagination threshold. Once you cross it, it is all about the imagination, and you just do it. You just live like a little kid and just.
Not that towels aren't important. Towels are important, I guess, right?
Well, it's not. It's not.
If you know
a
anything
towel.
about 42.
It's not a towel. Well, that's true. It's not a towel. It's an imagination threshold.
Mm.
Yes, some like
I
Peter
apologize.
Pan, like.
I totally apologize. It's a
It's a wicked fort.
It's pronounced Dennis.
Yeah, that's an inside joke nobody's ever gonna get.
Anyhow.
So yeah,
still
like
funny.
Yeah, it is. But so you want to get into the whole agreement, the first agreement. Now, what is like? What would be the single thing that you wanted to discuss about it? You know, what's the one thing that you feel caused you to want to discuss this?
Well, I think like we were just saying,
Like how to do it, or
like you were very specific about the way you said, like, well, 2 and 3 really kind of, it doesn't matter. You could interchange them, but 1 and 4, they have to be where they are because 1 creates like basically a foundation to build on everything else.
well, yeah,
And
correct.
what you're talking about is coming completely correct with everything you do, which is in a way it's beyond honesty because, like you said, there's layers to that.
Well, see, it's not even coming correct. It's coming correct always. Because if you're not coming correct always, you're not being impeccable. If you're not being impeccable, you can't do number 2 or number 3 or number 4. You have to do number 1 first. Now, if your words, statements, and actions are in compliance with agreement 1, now it also has to be in agreement with number 2 and number 3 and then number 4.
I mean, where do you move your filter to when you're talking about like never telling a lie or being completely honest? Like where even lies of omission aren't, like you're not going to tell somebody like, you know, like things that are completely unnecessary to know, like, you know, I don't know, I swiped the pencil for my last job, or...
Dude, I totally just got the Goonies. When I was in 5th grade...
You go through your whole life story, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. And then I made this noise. Yeah, no, that's... You don't have to go into, like, complete divulging of just, like, every wretched thing since 2nd grade. You know, like, my first memory of... Like, no, it doesn't have to be that. But you have to be impeccable, which means you have to be honest, and you have to be honest always. Now, it's not like you can't mess up or anything always. It's you have to do that one first. So if you're gonna do 1 through 4, you have to be first and foremost impeccable with your word. Which again, to do that, you have to be completely honest with yourself. And people are like, "Oh, I can be no." You have to be, like you were talking about earlier, somebody else's perspective. You need to take it from all sides, honest with yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
Right, exactly. That's what I was trying to say, that you're trying to take a perspective that may or may not be something you're normally in line with. You have to try and understand counterpoint, which is can be very it can be very foreign to us. You know, it's put yourself in someone else's shoes.
You walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
Imagine, you know, all the things, all the stressors that they have to deal with, and all the. But you never can. You can't. You can never know what it's like to experience anything as someone else, unless you are in the movie being John Malkovich.
Or doing your thought experiment. You know, which I think that's like Einstein's light train idea, right? To explain energy and light and how it works. But But yeah, that's
similar. Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that. We're good.
But the
Again,
the being truthful with yourself kind of goes back to the whole idea of the matrix that we create, that we view the world through.
Which you call the ego, right?
Right. It's a construct, but some of it you have very little control. Well, most of it you have very little control over. But sometimes we actually put things there. You know, and I guess the whole idea of being completely honest with yourself is to be honest with yourself that yes, that I have this weakness, or I have this, you know, this blind spot when it comes to this, or whatever it is. All of that, to be able to accept it all, but not ignore it. You know, to make note of all those things. And in doing so, you'll be able to view the world more like you're trying to create a structure in which to better. The 4 agreements is a way to better deal with the world around you. It's a way to better understand yourself, and to if you were able to follow all those things, the idea is that it should be able to improve your ability to enjoy happiness. I mean, that's the idea, right?
I would assume so. Yeah, I mean,
or find happiness within.
See, I'm going to take it back to just you have to be impeccable, because let's see, I had a really good idea about how to explain this.
But I mean, the whole being honest with yourself, I mean, that can go, you know, they can go quite deep. With the whole idea of like removing preconceptions about things and trying to see things just for what they are instead of the structures that they represent and stuff like that. I guess that's really what I was trying to. Sorry if I totally derailed your thought.
Well, no, no, we're all good, of course. It's trying to. To me, it's almost like a combination of, you know, as you just said, but with not so much the extension, but the inclusion of, there is no the one or the I. We are all a part of the something, which to me is almost like a Buddha sense, where you go out into the wilderness and get lost, just so you can realize you are part of everything and everything is a part of you in a sense, right? And so now you kind of like, this materialistic idea no longer is even an option to you. You know, you have this enlightenment because you're just like, everything is my brother or sister.
Well, the idea of trying to name it would, in that state of mind, if you were to reach this state of enlightenment, the idea of trying to name God would, like, why? What would be the point of doing that?
Well, yeah,
that's a limitation, like, and that's the way you would actually view it. Like, as a monk, I gave up my own name, kind of thing. Like, who cares what God's name is? It matters not, you know. And it was just the same thing, like I said before about I am, that once you start adding other,
it's a diminisher, I think you said,
that it actually puts it puts a
diminishing factor.
A diminishing factor. It's you know, even if you say something you consider positive, like I am a beautiful person,
is it? Then
it's
like
still
that's all you are.
It still diminishes you, even though it's a positive thing.
Because now you are just a beautiful person.
It's like, why can't you just be? Like, I am.
I am. Right.
So the statement I am, it doesn't set up any preconceptions. In a way, it kind of, it breaks through all that and just the essence of I am.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that it's probably, I've been quoting like B-sides all night, I think. Which, I don't, we'll have to go like, post editing, and we'll have to grab those and make those into the B-sides so they can all hear it. But
well, the B-sides don't follow the same rules.
No, they do not.
So we can edit them a bit.
It's like it's playground rules.
For the protection of, the whole idea is to use pseudonyms.
Anonymity.
So anonymity. Yeah, I don't hurt yourself, kid. Anonymity. No, all right, sorry. Dad.
So
I love your fort, by the way. Even the little,
are you?
So don't placate me. I really don't appreciate that.
You said.
So I didn't. Apparently, I didn't get all the sillies out, so I'll have to apologize for that. But much love, much love.
Indeed, sir. So impeccable. The fact of the whole Buddha idea, like, so you pretty much kind of, the way you summed it up, I feel is pretty solid. But then yeah, I would add in that additional, Buddhist, Taoist, just I am all of one. So when you kind of come into the idea of being, impeccable with your word, and then taking nothing personal, making no assumptions, that's rule 2 and 3, or agreement 2 and 3. The idea of, like you were saying, God wouldn't have a name. Well, if you're going to be impeccable with your word, you would limit it as much as possible. So like you're just saying, I am. You would find statements of that nature, or even expressions.
Well, I mean, that actually is biblical in nature. I mean, the whole idea, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, I am. Was it the burning bush? Was something, anyway.
Well, and that's
but I am. Yeah.
To me, being impeccable, even if you were saying, hey, I'm just energy and light, you would have, like, I think you were talking about it before, where it wouldn't be verbal expressions, it'd be an image. We would communicate with like thought pictures.
I think we still can.
Yeah,
I think we still can. I mean,
Ghostbusters, couple of like wavy lines. Oh, it's just not your day.
Oh,
but yeah, we I definitely think that's a thing. I mean, I feel as such.
I mean, there's like a whole field of knowledge now that, like, well, I mean, if you don't have to go conspiracy theorist anymore, because like there's a whole field of knowledge now of things that the government has tried, that they've now released these documents. And
probably redacted like all heck, but
some of them are. Some of them are so outlandish that they just release the whole thing completely, because who would believe it? Like, some of them are really that far out. It's fun to.
Well, yeah, I think I said I was.
It's fun to toy
misinformation is the best information for secrecy.
Well, yeah, if you slam the market with every possible imaginable permeation of, Bigfoot.
Right. It's like Bugs Bunny at first, Bugs Bunny at second, Bugs Bunny at third. You're like, wait, how is he playing Bugs Bunny at left field? How is he doing this? Bugs Bunny up at the bat. It's like, what? Dude, it makes, yeah. There's just so much overwhelming that it's like, this is impossible not to be like, yeah. And so yeah, the idea of being impeccable, that's why it's rule number 1, because if you're not being truly impeccable, you can't move on with your actions or statements correctly to live, as you're saying, that better life, that enlightened life, that push towards where it's not about me, even though it is about me, because it's all about us, and I have to be a part of the us, which means I have to be the best me as I can be, so that we make us the best us we can be.
And now it's interesting that yet again you're moving into, I'm thinking ahead now, but yet again you're moving into the same type of idea that you want to, like, focusing yourself. So the idea is, okay, everything is you're coming correct with yourself and with your speaking towards others, but then you're moving right into, what is it, 2 is take nothing personal, right?
Possibly, yeah. I think
it's
so.
either that or
I think make no assumption.
Make no assumption.
Yeah, I think make no assumption is 3.
So
take
the same thing.
You're
You're kind of you're removing all your prejudices,
biases.
Your biases, if you want to say that, yeah.
I feel like prejudice is
like we were
really
saying,
just like pokey jabby.
Like we were saying earlier, it's kind of like a psychological way to remove a veil on your own.
Mahatma Gandhi style, like, modify it to the point. Yeah, but yeah.
Because it's much easier to imagine yourself as anything after that point, because you've removed all of that cluttering
diminishing factor
self,
the filter
that gets in the way,
filter, veil, but yeah, diminishing factor.
Well, the ego, I mean, it's the idea of trying to be able to view the world without that pesky thing getting in the way, basically. I mean, because it's distracting. It's really distracting.
Ego is a mother effer.
And on top of the fact, like I was talking before about the microbes in your body that basically are attached to your limbic system and make decisions for you and give you cravings, like that's where you're like, oh, I could really use a piece of pizza or popcorn or whatever.
That the bacteria in your gut is what dictates what you're eating.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. But how much of that, like, it's, like even like emotional things that you could go through and you could really boil that down to that's not even anything to do with you. It's your body.
Well, and to me, that's the thing that I feel, if you're properly listening to your system, you should be in a symbiotic flow where, yeah, maybe having that pizza, it's not for the fact that it's pizza, it's the fact that there's the thing in it that it's like, yo, I need that. This is going to make us feel right. And the more you can actually pay attention to it and just, it's not about me. So you kind of, not so much that you have to like give into your urges, but you have to give into your, what's the appropriate word here? You have to give into your signals from your own correct guidance, which would be your body saying, hey, do we want to be the best? Yes, we do. Go get that slice of pizza. If your body's really saying that, because it's probably like, maybe it's the sugar and the tomato sauce, maybe it's the dough and the pizza. I don't know.
Well, that's maybe it's the difference is it's like if it's a spur of the moment thing, and like you're normally the guy getting a salad, and you want to splurge and get a slice of pizza, it's whatever. But I'm talking about the person that's basically controlled by these, it's an almost emotional attachment to cake, kind of thing. Like,
well, see, yeah, and to me,
candy. I used to have, oh my god, candy cravings like crazy when I was a kid, and it's just, I think some of it's just being a kid, but
maybe.
But I mean that it's a drug if you think about it. It's before you start discovering other drugs that you're not allowed to touch yet, like alcohol or
I don't know. I was allowed to drink since I was a baby.
Well, they did things different in Spain.
Yeah. No, we instead of pacifiers, rag with like wine or something. And then when you get to the States, it's like, well, maybe Jack Daniels or whatever. Because when then, the rest of them teeth start coming in the back, man, what the heck, might as well. Yeah. But it's, that's why being impeccable is number one. Because, I mean, it really does encompass all of these different components.
Right, there's a lot more to it when you actually start thinking about it, and that was what we were trying to say when we first started bringing this four agreements conversation up. Was that number one was a doozy for a reason.
Yeah, and they explain that in the book.
But how, in a way, it kind of flows into 2 and 3.
Well,
you know what I mean? Because it's still
you can't have 2 or 3 to get to 4 without it. That's why I always say you have to be impeccable always. You don't always have to do it. You can. If you always are impeccable with your word, that to me is the epitome of being in the flow, and I am now fulfilling my purpose to its nth. Taking it to that last degree and just keep on rocking.
Well, and some of that, like, it's interesting is like even the first time you mentioned that, even though I'd forgotten them, and then you had to remind me, I must have in the back of my mind been thinking about them, like in my day-to-day life. Because it's that whole thing about take nothing personal, and like that you were reminding me, like when you first mentioned it, you said it's funny how there's 2 sides to that, and like you don't necessarily think that it's the same thing if it's good stuff, like that. Right,
because the expression saying
be appreciative, but
take nothing personal is, to me, you're gonna get that automatic negative idea where it's like, well.
So somebody insults you, cuts you off in traffic, whatever.
Exactly. You're not going to be like, oh, so that would be the automatic thought is like, I'm not going to take anything personal. Somebody's just like, well, F you. You're like, oh, okay, guy, cool, thanks.
But in the same sense, somebody congratulates you on something you were, okay, well.
Yeah, compliments you. Like, hey, you look great today.
And really just really lays it on thick and.
Well, not even, no, just, wow, you have great blue eyes. Oh, that's a lovely hat.
Don't let that get to you either, basically.
The deeper expression of that is, as you said, while you're in that attempt to be a part of everything, because you have to have that a semblance. So you're going to be impeccable for all these components. Take another part, like the end all be all. The whole thing is to be a part of the flow. Then to not take it personal, you're not you're not doing it for whether it's a negative or positive statement from somebody else. It has nothing to do with them. This is where you almost have to, like, I guess, be selfish, because you have to understand that I have to be the best me so that I'm a best part of the us that we are.
Yeah.
So being selfish while being totally selfless, it's that it's that
As I was
balance.
saying before, is sometimes when you're in that mode, there is no.
Well, so while you're totally taking care of yourself, you're not really taking care of yourself. You're just making sure that you're in that correct component where everything lines up, and it just works for everything, you and all things, because you are a part of the all things. That's that, being impeccable. You got to do that first, to me.
That's why I try to focus so much inwardly, because that's always a place to start from. You're trying to react, you're trying to come correct with the outside world. You have to come right with yourself. Like, you have to be willing, like we were saying before, to look at not only the good things or the mediocre things about yourself, but maybe those things that really just get under your skin, or things that you'd like to sweep under the rug. Or even difficult memories that we worked through last time, right? Yeah, well, it's there.
Yeah.
But coming.
If you are having, if any thought or feeling brings up like severe negativity for personal growth, yeah, you got to dig into that. And I mean to the point of, so you as Joe or Sally Sue, next door neighbor or whatever, sees that one person who lives across the street next to you, whatever, and they have this one little thing that makes you just, you're like, if it irks you and you can't for some reason, you know what? Look a little deeper internally, because if it's negative, it usually has something more to do with the other person than you. So the person who's being negative, that's the problem.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is too. Like, just those first three are just, it just naturally makes you more cognizant of the flow of your own consciousness, so that you realize, like, well, wait a minute, why did I just make that assumption? Like I was saying, it's like these rules were like in the back of my mind, so I was using it in day to day and didn't even realize why. It kind of, which is good. I mean, that's neat, like, because you kind of toy with it, like, oh, that's weird. Like, why did I feel that? Well, that was I had a preconception about something, or whatever it was, and it made me feel
expectations. I think you can call it expectations, but yeah, it gives you. But that
well, you know how somebody can say something to you, and you're like, why did that just feel like a stab? And you realize it wasn't. But
that goes to the agreement of make no assumptions. If because
don't take nothing personal.
If you don't take it personal, you're not going to assume anything probably on top of it. That's why I'm pretty sure make no assumptions is like 3. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm pulling the book through my brain right now.
When you use them all together, it makes a lot more sense. But
which is, and we can get to number 4, because I love number 4. It wraps everything up really nicely, because so going back to the point of take nothing personal, make no assumptions. When somebody's being negative or even positive, because that's the whole take nothing personal, being negative, you have to realize, hey, this is my place, I'm being negative, and you're projecting, because that's what you do internally. When you can finally realize that, you can kind of just be like, oh crap, my bad, and like, but you're not going to see that because you're down on the bottom of the hole. Same thing as you're being like overly positive. When you're all the way up there and you're really just in that place of just like, oh my God, everything's amazing. That's why you start to project and just tell everybody like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. I love your soul. I love your hat. I love you're just, you as the individual trying to go through all that. You can't take either of those personal.
Or like, I don't know why I just thought of this, but like when Ram Dass, if you're familiar, came home for the first time after being like in India for I don't know how long with his guru, and he comes home and like everything brought him down. Like the whole idea of like having to get a job just brings me down. Like, and
I resonate with that hard.
And he said it was almost like I was riding this high, and he was like, I'm so high, don't touch me. You know, don't touch me, you'll bring me down. I don't know why I just thought of that. It was so funny. But
don't bring me down.
I do make these. I make these mental correlations that maybe only make sense to me sometimes. I don't know.
But having this platform to express that is a great place. So you know. Yeah, but so the whole negative positive of taking nothing personal, because when you are in that negative place, like you're not going to see it and you're just going to be it, and hopefully you come out of it. And I've been there. Like I was just there, still removing myself, still working forward. Now, yeah, I'm gonna come correct. Bad place going towards good. But if we get into that only good, and you're just so positive that you just only, anything that comes across it just completely removes it, annoys it, but it's in the same reverse. So, that's why trying to take nothing personal, you being super positive, negative's not going to hurt you. You being negative or, super negative, being positive, they're not going to, they negate. You have to have them, yin and yang, the whole wave sign. If you can go null, and that null is take nothing personal, you remove the self, which is how you're basically like selfless, even though you're being selfish, it seems, because positive or negative, it's like, well, you're not focusing on me or allowing me to be in there. Well, because being positive or negative doesn't mean anything. Being just a part of the flow, being the best you, just being that like cog in the wheel that you're supposed to be, means that it's going to do the whole I am the best us, which is really what it's supposed to be about. And that's that's why I like equate it to like Buddhism and stuff, where it's like going out to realize that you kind of have to like be not you to be a part of all things, which makes you you, because you have to be exactly what you are to make us work.
I mean, if you could imagine being able to maintain that state of mind, that oneness, right? It would kind of feel like that. Like anyone else's success would feel you just as happy for them. There is no spoon. There is no difference. There is no
in the comments.
But anyhow, yeah, come correct. I think that's the big lesson that I was trying to bring for this episode number 11 was come correct with yourself and with others, and just try to be. I mean, that's what I love about this show, this venue that we're doing. It's organic. You're allowed to.
Why do you have to say it like that?
Because it's ever since episode 1.
Yeah, see, we really do re-listen. We do. Come correct.
Come correct.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll corral you.
Yeah.
Come correct.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll go down all kinds of, but I don't need that. Anyhow.
And to me, come correct almost kind of takes be impeccable with your word and take nothing personal. Because in order to come correct, you have to be impeccable with your word, because you got to back up your stuff, right?
You could totally look at it that way, yeah.
As well as, regardless of what anybody says, you still have to do it. So you come correct is like, that's taking like 1 to 2. I like that. I'm gonna be dope with you.
I mean, I like that though too. If you've ever seen somebody that can master the art of kind of not being swayed by other people's influences, like I can be appreciative without it like getting to my head, and then it's just like, if I'm a happy person by nature, there's nothing that you're gonna do in your interaction with me that's gonna change me from that normal demeanor. And like, I don't know how people do that. There are some people out there that are just I don't know if they're truly that happy or if it's just a really, really good act, because like we were talking about before.
May I come correct?
Yeah.
May I be dope with you? Do you know how we do it? It's the same way we hide our pain, and we shove it down, and we ignore it to the point that we explode. Some of us are very fortunate to have people in our lives that keep us grounded and pull us back in.
Some of those really, really happy people have to truly be happy. No, I mean, like maybe 1 in 1,000, maybe.
I'm gonna go back to my previous statement of you can have super negative or super positive.
I mean, yeah.
But So think about this. So if we go back to the sine wave aspect, as we cross over the zero or the null, you get the super positive, super negative, or that sine wave of, hill valley, that side of the ziti frickin', or the side of the lasagna pasta where you get that little ripple.
Yeah.
That's your sine wave. If you're extreme positive or extreme negative, you're nowhere near the middle of take nothing personal to continue from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. That's not how that works. Even the math says this is the incorrect. So the closer you are, or actually are in that zero or that null or that line of this is your path, right? Because I don't want I have to use terminology to express it, and it's probably sounding negative connotation, but
the edge of a lasagna noodle. I'm still picturing this.
You got that little ripple, yeah. But
that ripply, yeah.
That's that hill valley, up down, little circle. But if you're coming correct, like you said, if you're being impeccable with your word, if you're taking nothing personal, you're just scooting straight across. So the extreme positive or the extreme negative, you're not being correct. And I know this because I've been in both places, and having this ability to retrospect, self-reflection, that's what it is to me. In the now. Because this is where we're at. This is my literal realization and expression.
We're in the tree of
totally tree of trust, circle of safety.
We're in the tree of trust.
So as you were stating, so being super positive, are there going to be people like that? Of course they are. Do they have to be there? Of course they do. Because without that super positive or super negative, there wouldn't be the in between.
I mean, that was a really when you brought up the whole Robin Williams thing, and I don't know if that got just kind of glossed over by anybody that might have been listening, but that was a really deep statement, because that kind of brought up, I was really paying attention when that happened, and I was really affected by that, because I started thinking about, I remember pretty much that whole month, I started thinking about all the different kind of life-changing movies, and funny, serious, like he's kind of done the whole gamut. And the reaction I started to have when I made that realization that, like so much of my cinematic adventure through growing up, like, had him as a part of it, like
TV and movies.
I mean, Mrs. Doubtfire, dude, come on,
dude. No, I'm all about like
Mork and Mindy. Yep.
Hell yeah, over and over
you
and
go
over
back?
and over on happy days and all that, over and over and over and over. As well, but that's why I said TV and movie, because he did movies and TV. But you said the Sad Clown. I think that was your.
That was what came to mind, dude. Just train of thought, like that was what came to mind. Was but it's funny, like when I was listening to it again, and then I wrote the note down, was Jim Carrey. I made another connection with Jim Carrey, because it was funny, because I started really getting into. I mean, you can just type his name in a YouTube search, and you'll get like all these crazy speeches where he goes off on like, I mean, just the most amazing speech. And there's all these people out there that are like, oh, he's gone crazy, he's lost his freaking mind. I was like, I don't think so. Anything, I think he's found it.
Yeah, if anything, he's actually lucid.
He's not taking himself seriously. Like, he got to the point where he's on the red carpet and they're asking him questions, and he's just totally goofing the entire time. Like, he's floating, like he's not even there.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is like that too. He's
like, somebody would come up to ask him a question, he'd have his back to her, like just being a total goof, like disrespecting the whole charade that they put on for the red carpet.
I wouldn't say it's disrespecting. I would say it's balance.
He was just. It was him. It was something about. It was just very.
He was that piece in that moment that had to do it, because just like we're doing this now.
Yeah.
He put his art out there. We're putting our art out there. He put his art out there so that one person, literally because maybe even like 100 years from now or what, that one person that sees that one thing that he did, that's a blurt, literally a half second of visualization of what he did, that it clicks in them, and they're just like, I get it now. Like,
I looked at that. I think it was one of my friends actually that had mentioned, oh, what's up with Jim Carrey? He's freaking gone off his rocker, and I'm like,
No, he's dope. He's being dope with you.
Well, and I didn't really want to get into it because I didn't want to have an argument about it. But I was like, I don't think so. I mean, and maybe I have a couple years on you, like 25. So maybe
this is where I like the statement "agree to disagree."
Yeah, agree to disagree. I just
you talked about your father-in-law, right?
Oh, jeez.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
So, but that's being impeccable with your word.
Well, and I don't know if
because it doesn't matter what you're talking about. The simple fact is, you literally said,
"You're right." Yeah.
Let's agree to disagree. That's an impeccable statement. You have one vision, I have another vision. Doesn't mean you're right or I'm wrong or you're correct and I'm. It's an opposite.
Well, it's also a conversation ender, because it's like we're not going to go further down that path because it's just going to get both of us more upset.
That's
probably
one
more you than me, but
that's one perspective. But agree to disagree still opens for additional conversation, so it's not an ender per se. But I understand where you're coming from. So it's a thing that's like, hey, this should squash. Like it's like I don't think we need to go any further, but you can, because it's still open and inviting. So it's not disrespectful. It's impeccable. It's honest. You're not saying, hey, I don't want to keep talking about this.
There's
Well, no, you're not saying, hey, I don't want to talk about it. Hey, I don't, you're
no,
wrong.
I'm not. But
it's literally just saying, hey, we can agree to disagree.
But in that particular situation, I mean, there's some people that you just don't bring up certain topics, and that's for this person. That's a topic you don't bring up. So,
is that being impeccable with your word?
No, absolutely not.
So then is that the thing to do? I mean, I'm just
well, and if you were to put it that way, then I was trying to be impeccable with my word, but it just wasn't the time or place. So that was more to that, be impeccable, but only if it's. Or what was it?
That was a side expression in the conversation that we had off mic.
Yes, yeah,
yeah, about making sure that
about the 12 steps. I think, yeah.
Well, just if you're going to make amends, you should. However, if making amends is going to cause possible pain or suffering or make even more than
like
what
if you're
was
revealing
before,
something that somebody
if what you're going to do is destructive, then make amends to the universe. Put it out there. Still apologize. Still
remember
recognize
how your cat got hit by a car.
Yeah, well, can't not think about the negatives. You still have to give it its due course.
Yeah.
So to me, that's being impeccable with your word, because you got to be honest about that shit. You have to realize it's like, yeah, do I want to apologize for this? Yeah. Is this going to cause more damage? Yeah. Don't do it.
You said just kiss it up. Just
one for me, one for the homies.
Apologize to the universe.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Put it out there, because if you apologize to the person, you're still putting that energy out there. If you apologize to the universe, you're still putting that energy out there. It's the
energy of seeking forgiveness.
I wouldn't call it forgiveness. I would call it being impeccable. Because there should be no forgiveness at that point. It should just be correcting the positive to the negative and putting you in the flow, which is being impeccable to start with.
I guess. I don't know. So much of this is just it's just a different way to word.
Well, I'm also kind of like looking at it from like a mathematical representation on like an algebra, with the x and the y, and you're getting the sine wave in there. But that's just my mind at this point, because the amount of college that's all up in me, especially the math. Because while I'm really awesome at math, they made me really focus too much on to the point doing calculus in my freaking head. That was dope. Derivatives.
I'm trying to think what I wanted to. Well, I don't know. I was trying to think of some topic or something we could go off on, but other than
why Gremlin?
No, not at all. It's not the squirrel thing. I was just trying to introduce something new, but I mean, is it too late?
I thought we were talking about the first agreement. Is it ever too late? I don't know.
I don't understand.
Why are you trying to steer the conversation?
Oh. Hey,
You're the guy.
So all right, all right. You got something you want to say?
I think the whole idea of the first agreement really pumps everything else out, right? Because again, you can't take anything personal, because taking it personal, again, if you're like super positive, super negative, if you don't take it personal, you kind of just scoot through that. So it's not positive, it's not negative, it just is. The I am. So as you go from being impeccable with your word, scooting through, taking nothing personal, you're floating through as like, I am. If you get to like make no assumptions and you screw up and you're like, I am beautiful, like, oh, and you wah, 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 like, you just messed up.
You see what I'm saying? That the first three, it's almost like just saying I am. It is, you're
as you get to the purest point,
those preconceptions, those.
And well, so, and this, to go back to a previous point about like food in your belly and all that kind of stuff, if your brain, because like you said, if you get like that burst, and it's just like, oh, I thought about pizza. No, that's like, to me that would be like ego almost, where it's just like, you want this? No, I don't. But seriously, so if that that bacteria in your gut, whatever else, that thing that's telling you what to do, if your body just like, if you can't get pizza out of your mind, it just drives you like, dude, I need it.
It's honestly, it's amazing how powerful it is.
Here's the thing though, if that's the point where it's at, where you're just like, why? I'm literally craving pizza. Like my body's just day after day, week after week. It doesn't have to be pizza, but if you're craving it, most likely, on a healthy level, I don't want to, true crave, but on a healthy level, if it's celery, pizza, I don't give a crap. If there's, books, knowledge, if your body's like begging for that ingesting, like, dude, give me this, I need this, it's probably for a healthy reason, right? So you have to like listen to yourself and all that, which goes to being impeccable with your word, taking nothing personal, because you have to be open-minded to do it enough. You have to be, like you said, aware, not open. I don't know. Correct.
Awareness, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be aware. So you have to listen to yourself. You have to be honest to what you're listening to yourself. Be impeccable. Take nothing personal. So to me, that's like the extension of, like, if you're not taking anything personal, if you're just letting things be, you're not super negative, you're not super positive, you're just, I'm just in the flow. I'm scooting on over to take, make no assumptions. If you're not filling your head, letting ego take over to negate, agreement 1 and 2.
Right, you're looking at things accurately because you're being honest with yourself and others.
This is why I love...
Like, it all comes back to that. That's your foundation. And then we were building on to...
agreement number 4.
Which ties everything.
This is why I love agreement number 4. This is the most beautiful way to tie up all of this hard work that you've been doing.
Is it like looking at a lotus flower? Like the perfection of it? Like the...
I mean... not that I have that tattooed on me or anything, but... Which, all of a sudden I got the whole, like, top chakra, your crown chakra with all the petals. I'm pretty sure I got to count my petals. That's what I got to do.
Count your petals.
The culmination
144
of the 4 agreements. This is why I love the 4th, because the first, once you really start to break it down, sounds very rigid, like super structured, where you're almost like boxed in. But if this becomes your program, if this becomes the way you as a consciousness, but also your body thinks, feels, does its thing, so that you're getting the right, hormones to produce the right thoughts, so that it reinforces all that good stuff, you're probably being impeccable with your word, right? Which means that, again, you have to, like, make nothing personal, so you can just scoot right through super positivity, super negativity, because as you fluctuate, like, even on, the whole Einstein thing, it's like you'll never reach any destination, because every time you get halfway there, you have to get halfway there to get halfway there. And so as you go through all of that, as you just like scoot on through, you're making no assumptions, you're being pure in thought, leaving ego aside. Agreement number 4. Do your best always. And this means, like you said before about the whole, like, if you got 20% today, give me that. Because you might be giving 20%, but that's 100% of what you got. For real, for real. So you're like, oh, I'm only giving 20% today. Like, oh, I'm so... No, wrong. You're not giving 20%. You're giving 100% of what you have. And here's the beauty behind that. About do your best always. Because maybe 20% is all you got. Maybe 2% is all you got. Maybe 0% is all you got. If you give the best that you got always, and just always try to do your best, you're fully aware you're not going to, which is why you always try to do your best, which means that you have to forgive. So you do all this hard work. You build straight through all these things that you've just done over and over and over and over. You're just, everything's built up. You have these expectations. You're done it. You're this amazing person. But one little thing slips. Forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I love do your best always. To me, that's the epitome of it.
It's not like F it. Everything, like the whole house of cards just fell and...
Yeah, dude, because...
No, it's not that bad. It's...
I had negative 2% today, but is that 100% of what you had and you gave it? You did your best.
Well, and then you start to, and if we're going to get deep like that as far as putting markers on your success, then you start to, I think I had said something about I found periods of time where I had more clarity for longer periods of time. So something like that, like a marker that says, okay, well, if I can maintain this for 2 weeks and I slip once, after doing this for a year, I can maintain this for 6 months and slip once. Like it's gonna vary, it's gonna change, it's gonna develop but the problem is, the thing that's really important to remember, not the problem, but the thing that's really important to remember though is that it's not that you're marking, it's how long it takes to bring you back. Like you might find after a while it's such second nature that it brings you back like 2 seconds. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
And while I
forgot myself for a minute,
While I totally love and agree with your approach, the addition to that would be is rule number 1, you have to be impeccable. So as you slip, or as you're saying, kind of go back.
Well, because if you're always using that, like if your metrodome of thoughts is always going through those 4 agreements, kind of thing, where you're always going, okay, does this measure up with every one of those? Oh, I'm sorry, I slipped. And the second you notice that.
To me, that would take it to the point of take nothing personal, and you're either being extreme positive or extreme negative, because you're either like, dude, I am killing it at life, or the other side is like, I am really sucking at life.
Yeah, you can tell yourself those lies too, so you gotta be careful.
That which reverts or sticks it right back to.
And there's nothing wrong with like giving yourself a little bit of that to make it through the afternoon or whatever, but you gotta be really careful about that. Dude, I rock. I totally, yeah, congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back, and then put it away. Okay, it's not.
But the extension.
Don't lose yourself in it.
And the extension is, and that's why I think it's number 3, is make no assumption. I really like the idea. That's ego coming in, because you've already passed like stage 1 and 2. You're just like, dude, I am rocking this. My actions, my words, crushing it, and then ego's like, are you? It's Wednesday. It's raining out. You got that hole in your shoe. You're like, son of a bitch.
But think about
that hole in my shoe.
Think about what those first 3 do, though. They just by their very nature, if you're trying to focus on them, they're keeping you cognizant of your interactions with the outside world. Not even that. It keeps you cognizant of your own thought crimes to the point where you can punish yourself in the middle. You go, oh, damn you. Mm.
Actually, there would be no punishment, because again, and this is what I love about number 4 is, regardless of 1, 2, and 3, number 4 like kind of negates all of them. That's why I'm like, number 4 to me is, it's more about forgiveness than anything, because again, you might be at -2. -2 of what you got is 100% of what you can give. You give that, so at -2, you're not being impeccable with your word. You're being like anti-impeccable, right? You're just being horrid with it, right? You're taking.
What did you say? Impeccable adjacent.
But you're taking everything personal, whether it's extreme positive or extreme negative. Because if you're not being impeccable with your word, if you're not, so you just get yourself into that cycle, which then allows ego to come in, whether it's telling you like even more so like, yeah, bro, it's Wednesday. Yeah, fuck that hole in your shoe. You got this, dude. Homie, we're going to bang it out. So extreme positive, extreme negative. To me, that's that come around. So that's why 4 just kind of negates 1, 2, and 3. Because, yeah, regardless of you came impeccable or didn't, whether you took nothing personal or you did, whether you made it an assumption or not, you still get to forgive yourself because you gave 100% of what you had, even if it was -2, -20.
Just as we're talking, just occurred to me too, like how much of this, like you're working, you're using this as a way to basically improve. It's self-improvement, right? It's a way to be a little bit more introspective, a way to be a little bit more cognizant about, like I said, your every interaction with the world around you.
I think initially you used the word judgment. It was a way to judge, which I would take it to what you would say earlier, which I misquoted you on, was be aware. Right? I'm going to give you credit.
Yeah,
come correct.
To be aware.
Yeah, because so you're not judging, you're just being aware. So if you're aware, if you're in that flow, yeah, you're going to be like, my statement should be this because it's impeccable, which means that it's neither, negative or positive to an extreme degree or off course enough that an assumption or the ego is allowed to come in, and it's the best that I have to offer right now. Boom. If you can bang all 4 of those in that sense, dope.
But I mean,
that's you. I'm gonna be dope with you. That's what you're doing right there. And if you don't, again, number 4, forgive yourself because you did the best.
You're if you want to think about it this way too, it's kind of fun. You're creating, like if you imagine like the perfect you is the pinnacle, is the eye on top of the pyramid. You're going to take these 4 aspects and you're going to fold them into each other so that they become you at this point at the pinnacle. That's what you're trying to achieve, is by folding. Yeah, this is a neat little.
Actually, I would. So I'm gonna. May I collab with you?
Oh, absolutely.
So, pyramid would be 3-sided, minus the base, would be the 4th side. So while rule number 1, be impeccable with your word, I would say the true base of all 3 is agreement number 4. Rule number 1. Agreement number 4, which is do your best always. Because again, if you can forgive yourself, you can work through the other 3 and get to yourself, like you're saying, build that program and be a part of it, be in that flow, so you have that supportive component where you build to that centerpiece in that eye. Yeah, so I wouldn't make it a 4-sided pyramid. I would make it traditional, 3-sided.
Traditional.
It's 3-sided.
No.
Yeah, they are.
The Giza?
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm pretty sure that's 4-sided. Actually, something else interesting, but we can.
No, I'm talking about a like in the truer sense of a typical triangle. Yeah,
like a prism.
Yeah. Not like actual pyramid, but so same reference. That's what. Kidding? No, just kidding.
But anyhow, that you're trying to the creation of this higher you is in the folding of these. Kind of. I would use the same reference for the 4. What was I using before? The 4 noble virtues.
Right.
The 4 noble virtues. It's the same type of thing where you're
at B-side.
Yeah. Well.
Probably.
Well, no, that was.
Oh no! I think that was episode 5.
That was GR1. That should have been Green Room 1.
I'm gonna go back to that.
Right? Yeah. Because that was when I introduced the thing that I wrote. I don't know how I introduced that. I forgot.
The manifesto.
Well, no, that's how you introduced it. I just said I.
That's how I'm referencing.
I wrote this thing, kind of like a general, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
which I have since
modified
after the.
Yeah.
I
way to be impeccable with your word, bro.
Came back again and put a fancy little. I kind of spruced it up a little bit.
Dude, I totally just got the image of like grandma dusting the freaking room with the plastic on the couch. Just spruce it up. You're like, nobody's gonna sit in there, grandma. What are you doing? It's crazy. Yeah.
Why do you put plastic on a couch that nobody? Well, never mind.
Because grandma's trying to be impeccable with the couch, I suppose. I don't know. Probably not. That's the way it happens. Yeah. So.
But. I was also thinking the whole thing about applying these 4 agreements in your everyday life is, when you think about it, like how many people try to use your emotional attachment to whatever as a way to sway your opinion, or as a way to trick you into doing something you normally wouldn't. But that if you...
To me, that goes to the extreme positive or extreme negative.
If you're following these as much as you can, you're going to notice that more than the average person, that, hey, I think somebody's trying to manipulate me, because I'm looking at this and I'm realizing if I remove all my prejudices about the situation, like this, it's really become obvious that this person is a bad influence or whatever it is, that you're going to see right through it.
See, and I think you just took take nothing personal and just really stretched out the explanation to make it like that. That's what it is, because that's exactly what it is.
Think about how somebody could basically use you as a marionette by toying with your emotions. I mean,
extreme positive or extreme negative. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, you're building a house for Habitat of Humanity. You're like, dude, the Office episode where he just hops on the bus and goes down and does it. Like, dude, you're like, what the heck just happened? Dude, the extreme positivity, took over. Same regard, the extreme negative, and all of a sudden you're just like, why am I feeling so? You're just like, why is there this cloud of darkness floating over? It takes you in. You get no choice.
But you have to be the one that provides that for yourself, and I think that's part of that.
That's why you can't take anything personal.
Right. That
if you can just maintain, ski skirt through the middle of it, where it's like.
So, not that you can't be happy, but that you have to maintain a modicum of
balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's why I was taking to that point of Einstein, where you're half point, half point, half point. You're never going to be zero. True flow is never going to be zero. You're going to oscillate at some frequency. But the smaller you can make that wave,
it's like the whole catalytic converter conversation, wasn't it?
Kind of, sort of, but still, that's a great reference. But you get that oscillation, but you're never truly extreme positive or extreme negative, as you go kind of back and forth into each, where you ebb and flow as today is a good day, tomorrow is a okay day, today's a good day, but if you're at this really short period between them, it's never today's oh my god, tomorrow's holy crap. You're just man, today is today, and you're just a part of your flow because you're taking nothing personal. So to me, you're never going to be that perfect, because again, the whole Einstein half, you can't be
the
zero.
Idea is that even if the situation spikes, it means you're not going to necessarily spike right along with it. And that's what I'm saying, is that if for people that
not that you can't, but the likelihood is you won't.
For people that maybe don't have this kind of mental focus, where they're trying to work on themselves all the time, maybe they wouldn't be as astute to other people trying to manipulate them. Is basically what I was saying, because now you're doing all these things to stay honest with yourself, so you're seeing things more clearly.
You're aware.
You're trying to make no judgments on things that you see. You're trying to.
Well, so trying to put no judgment is also the ego or the assumption component.
And
correct.
And all the time.
You've made it past the positive negative component, and you're just sliding right in, where there's no additional filters or veils or anything on it.
And all the time trying to push this product that you've got, because you just love. I mean, when you come from a point of that, knowing yourself, that you just kind of exude that. So, right? I mean, if you're in that mode, you exude
back
love.
To your question. Yeah, I'll bring it back around. Yeah, I'm doing this segue.
Let's do it.
You asking of hey, is that the, is there ever going to be an extreme positive? And it's, well, yeah, of course there is. But if they are, they're a part of what helps you to create what that null is, so that you can be as close to that zero and kind of get the side of the lasagna, that little ripple. So yeah, are you going to have it? Of course you are. But is that what you're supposed to do? No, of course not. If all of us were that really minute ziggle-zag lasagna style on the side, as close to zero constantly as possible, if we're always trying to be impeccable with our word, if we're always trying to take nothing personal, if we're always trying to make no assumptions, and if we're always doing the best we can, and forgiving ourselves when the best we can is, negative 20 or, positive 20 or as close to zero as possible.
And can you forgive yourself for...
Well, yeah, so no matter where you're at
it's out of my control. I had a bad day.
Well, but so no matter where you're at or anywhere else is at, we all have to forgive. We all have to understand. That's why it's like you can't take anything personal. It's like, dude, if you're in a really happy place, and I'm in a really negative place, or I'm in a really happy place and you're in a negative place, or neither one of us can take that as like, oh, they meant to do that. It's just a place that they're at, and it's trying to find that balance, being impeccable with your word. Dude, you're not always going to have perfect days. Even if you've been humping across like, the 2 plus to the 2 negative and just floating that like skinny, or even 0.2. So you're like happy, not happy, happy, not happy. Not just enough that you're almost just like the average is. I'm in the flow, bro. I'm just like, you know what? Today is a good day. All right, cool. Let's just keep on flowing. All right. And you just do you. When you're literally just keeping ego aside, you're being impeccable and you're just doing your best. You're like, all right, you're just a part of the flow, fulfilling your purpose, your karma. That's the point of it. So, if you're not, and it's that's why I love Ford. You gotta forgive it, man, because it doesn't, because yeah, you can be super happy, but if you're being super happy, you're probably trying to balance the fact that you're probably super sad. And if you're super sad, you're probably trying to hide the fact by being super happy. It's a back and forth, right?
Super happy. Robin Williams. Super happy can be dangerous.
Well, but so that was your question, though.
What? Yeah.
Can you really have somebody who's like super happy, and it's like they're just super happy, and it's like that's. Well, yeah, because you have to have that for the balance.
Or is it always kind of hiding something deeper? I mean, even if you're not aware of it.
So think about the most chill, relaxed, just floating through life, amazing person you know. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That person who's actually like succeeding, that you look up to, that mentor of types where you're just like, holy crap, they just got their stuff together. They're never really like super happy. Maybe on occasion, like, that rarity where all of a sudden they're just like, they laugh like a little child again. But, is there that extreme negative? Probably not, except for that one occasion where, like, that one person that meant everything to them is no longer, and it removes it. So, are you going to have those spikes? Yeah, of course. But that person who's truly in the flow is going to be as close to away from those, just right across that zero that, but again, even if you're not, you forgive. And so you, as yourself, again, when you see, your friend, your community member, your neighbor, your whoever that person is, and you're in that extreme negative or positive, and they're in the opposite, you can't take it personal, and you have to understand that they're doing the best they can. And if you're gonna react in a negative manner or a positive manner, it has everything to do with you and nothing to do with them, and that's why you can't take it personal. Because you look great today. Yeah, that's them trying to tell themselves that they look great today.
Well,
if they cut you off and they're just like, you're a mother. No, it's because they feel something. So it's projection.
Well, probably more than 9 times out of 10, you usually have the power to dismantle it, to just disarm it entirely.
We always do,
as it comes your way, by just not taking it personal.
And that's that thing, is if you're being impeccable with your word, you're being honest with yourself, number 2, taking nothing personal kind of dismantles everything else, which is why when you get to make no assumptions or, kick ego out, it doesn't matter, because you're just like, no, we already answered all those questions. Ego can kick it. Suck rock. Kick rocks, sucker. Right? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, just running through all this, since we're
that's a lot to comprehend, right?
We haven't left this topic at all, actually.
Well, you keep trying. Your gremlins is strong, homie. We working on it. It's squirrel, but squirrels are cute. They got little bushy tails. They like, they want to eat food out of your hands.
It's distracting. Where'd it go?
Oh,
there it is.
Was that movie? Wasn't that Up or whatever? He's just like, squirrel. Yeah, I'm your friend, and I'm a da-da-da squirrel. Totally flips his head to the other side. Yeah. Yeah,
I like that movie. It's a cute movie.
It is a cute movie. Being impeccable. That's why it's. That's rule number one, man. Or I keep saying, my apologies. Agreement
number one. Yeah.
Which to me goes to that whole fourth of like, do the best you can, but I extended it to forgiveness in that sense. It's an agreement, which means it's not a rule like you have to. I can agree to. That's why I like that word agreement. Not
it has to be an agreement because you're taking it on. It's akin to like a living contract because it, like I was saying before about knowledge, it's not something like, oh well, I graduated so I'm done. Well, no. I mean, did you go for the paper? Okay. If you went for the knowledge, it's like every time you open up a new book, you go, oh man, this makes me want to research this and this and this and this. So it's like, your base of interest for this knowledge is just blossoms, like a
lotus with 144 petals. Hey-oh, bring it back around again. Echo.
But it definitely brings up a lot of different thoughts. Like I said about the idea of being controlled by others. If you're not,
well, that goes back to the whole don't take it personal. So if you're not taking it personal, it can't control you.
I mean, I was actually thinking about
outside of the idea of like MK Ultra, where they put like LSD in the water to tap it out. No, just kidding, that didn't happen.
We've been there already. We already had that MK Ultra.
We're bringing it back around, but the control factor. I agree because if you're not taking it personal, they can't control you. So if you can, because extreme positive, Ned Flanders, the world is filled with sunshine and rainbows, and God is amazing. Yeah, I hate to inform you. God too has to have a balance, which means that there's going to be things where people say bad stuff about you, right? You're going to be the bad guy in everybody's story, kind of thing. So somebody somewhere is going to speak ill of you. I've been there and done it.
You can't take it personal.
Can't take it personal, man. It's the balance of life. There's going to be extreme ups. There's going to be extreme downs.
Or even the other person that might say, "Oh my God, you're so insightful," or you say this and that, and it's just like I really totally, and it's like, oh well, I'm glad that you felt improvement from that, but you have to at the same time tell yourself, okay, well, I can't take that personal either. That's it's a lovely compliment. Thank you so much. I hope it really works out for you.
Well, see, but not even.
But
all that.
You can't take it personal. You can't.
But see, to scoot through to scoot on through, to be impeccable, to take nothing personal, make no assumptions, and do the best always. I agree with you, where you're like, I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Remove. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be like I am. Like I said, it just has to be a truncated component where it's like this is a singular expression, like energy. That's what I am. So instead of saying I am energy, it's like, okay, that's your expression. That's what you identify as, but you're not going to say it. It's not going to be an image. Anything and all things around you are just going to be understood that it's like energy. Oh, I am. It's the same thing, just
I am that I am.
Yeah, so instead of saying I am energy, you can just say energy. That's what you are.
Not I am what I am, because that's Popeye.
Yeah, right.
But I am that I am. So, yeah.
Why did I just get Nacho Libre? I am. I'm sorry.
I have no idea why you got that.
Because that's an actual song in there.
But this is why
being the luchador, he had to do it.
This is why it works. This is why it works.
Yeah, it is.
Telling you.
Organic. We let it out. It's our art. And it's brought you and I some very beautiful moments and some great closure as well as opening to continue and just...
Yeah, because you and me saved all these people.
he even gestured with the gun and everything. All these... Oh, yeah.
What, this? Oh, it's just a squirt gun.
Chandelier drops, yeah. In the comments, go ahead.
Yeah. Anyhow.
And that's...
It's fun stuff. You got to throw that in there too. You got to.
I'm gonna take it back to the green room that we had, where I'm re-listening and hearing our jovial nature and rejoicing in that 30-year like.
Oh, what was I saying? That easily could have gone awry, and it was amazing that we kept it together.
What's this we?
Yeah. Well, no. Hey.
I corral you. Yo, I'm the guy. Me.
Yeah. All right.
Because sometimes you're the guy that makes me have to be that guy. We balance.
But I also try to make you laugh too, so it's.
You do attempt to keep levity or grounding, and I do the same.
All dadness aside,
What?
We're both fort builders, so come on.
And we've both been there for each other when it was most necessary.
Which, by the way, the fort that was built on February 14th is still there in the front room of the house. It's still there. It's got like all the blankets from downstairs. Everyone.
That's how much they love it. Does it?
Dude,
have
I took 2 naps in there this week so far.
Does it have an imagination threshold?
There's no threshold. No, it's like the whole thing is covered. It's got like a.
How do you get in and out of it?
You gotta like lift up and like scooch in. Like I do like an army, like a little army crawl. It's really kind of cute, actually.
So what I heard is, yes, there is an imagination threshold, in which I scoot through as an army man.
Right.
Says the dad.
All right, if you had an imagination threshold, I guess yeah. I just played right into that one, didn't I?
Well, I mean, you did kind of assist me a little bit.
But it was a lovely place to take a nap because it was like probably the darkest place in the house. It's wonderful.
I want to say that was a morbid statement, but that's just me poking at you.
The darkest place in the house?
Well, yeah, I do. But that's like, if you're like the Munsters or whatever, that's the greatest place to go.
It's just like this...
Adam Family, maybe? I don't know.
Little Hogan. It's made out of all these draped blankets.
Top and everything. It's all covered.
Yeah,
like, where's Dad? Where's that noise coming from? Is that the dog? Yeah, they just can't find you because they never even look inside there. And all of a sudden, it just like cloaks you into like Narnia or something.
You'd probably just come up and start kicking my foot, more likely.
Well, once they found you, like 30 minutes later.
Like my foot's hanging out, just like start wailing on it,
Yeah, no, once they realize they hear that weird snoring noise and it's not the dog, next time it's just like, Dad's in the fort again. Dad! Toom, toom, toom. And they start kicking. That's when they kick you.
Yeah, it's like shaking the china.
Yeah, you only get away with it like once or twice. Kids are smart. They catch on quick.
Yeah. It's a great fort, though. Anyway.
It sounds it.
Yeah.
Which I want to ask you, why would you diminish my imagination threshold earlier? Why would you do that?
Oh, I'm just a jerk.
I mean, I wouldn't take it that far. I mean, sometimes.
Just for plain entertainment value.
You're a jerk.
Yeah.
You're a jerk. Yeah, no.
I just wanted to be a jerk.
Why did you attempt to diminish my fort-making ability? Why? You should revel in. We should be sharing secrets.
No, it's a lovely fort. It's just, hey.
I'll be honest.
I was getting lazy and I just didn't feel like ducking through the thing
I feel you
multiple times.
Your makeshift sound studio booth at your place, fort style. Bro, dude, that's a dope fort. Come on, man.
It just kind of hangs there in nothingness, doesn't it? Watching
you create and actually build, so not even just like thought experiment, make it in your mind, like create it, brought to fruition, then the pictures that you use, which, so people listening, if you're on the appropriate channel, you're going to see it. Yeah, that weird kind of filtered picture that looks like an odd geometric shape, that's actually the sound booth. And you doing it your way because it's not my perspective, because I had a thought about how we could do it with what you had and everything else. You did your thing your way and made it. I think it's beautiful.
And it worked.
Dude, it works very well. Regardless,
it takes me 5 minutes to put back together. So, and
regardless,
it's non-invasive.
It's your thought, it's your creation, it's your fruition, and
the best thing is, it cost
dope.
Nothing.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, like, man.
Just a little ingenuity.
Just as much as the whole, like, doing the green room thing. Totally your show. That's how I feel about it. It's like, dude, without you, we wouldn't have had that. Without you, we wouldn't have that sound stage.
The greediness in me that I just wanted to get more content out of it. That's really
cathartic nature and trying to do it.
And it just kind of worked out that way. That
you got out of your own way.
That we could use it to our advantage in the fact that we could use it to be a little goofy and kind of before we find our focus for the actual show, for the, you know.
I would say that was us being impeccable, taking nothing personal, making no assumptions, and doing our best, getting out of our own way. That's what's great about this platform, is we get to do that. Which is why I think we need to both find a way to like just do this as much as possible. Anybody listening, you want to make us a morning show? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try and continue. Well, because that would every time we meet, it gives us technically 2 episodes because we get a green room. And
we get the pre-conversation and then the actual, which is I think is hilarious because sometimes the green room is just as deep as the I'm telling you.
We're pretty much averaging 4 shows per week.
Currently, yeah.
So it's not bad. I mean,
I think that's very good.
See, and here we go again. See, that's great. Keeping me honest, and I will toast to that.
Well, it's because I'm attempting to do the same for myself. So when that's why I'm like, if you're
like not bad, no, it's not bad. That's freaking great.
Well, but to me, that's that same thing, but that take nothing personal component, where if I'm being extremely positive, not just like, hey, let's flip it over, let's bring it back around again. Like you're not allowed to say
anything.
Right, yeah, no, if I'm just being that echo where you're just like, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. If I'm being that echo to balance everything as opposed to being that extreme, if I'm being that extreme, dude, I'm compensating. It's not me being a part of it. It's me trying to overextend. So whether it's extreme negative or extreme positive, we're trying to go the other way. Well, so think about that. So you get into like narcissistic tendencies, right? You're not being impeccable to your word. You're just floating your own BS. All of a sudden, you're either like, I am just the epitome of love and light and beautiful, and I'm just, and you do. Yeah, you're probably not. Same regard is just like, I'm this deep, dark cloud.
Well, narcissism is actually...
Hold on.
Yeah.
No. So, you're this extreme dark cloud. Here's the difference. If you're being extreme positive, you're all the way up there like, I'm just love and light and killing it, and just, I'm the best thing in the world, just like floating on cloud 9. It's because you're compensating for the fact that you're probably digging into yourself so deep that you're being really negative. The extension of is, if you're being really negative and digging down in there, you're probably pretty happy. The whole misery loves company. This is the irony of life. So you're probably compensating for the fact that you're actually really happy because you're like, well, misery loves company and everybody's hanging out with me. You being that extreme negativity, and this is like on a whole. This isn't like once in a while. If you're just digging in, if you're going to always be like, I am only mad extreme positive or mad extreme negative, you're probably on the opposite and that's our perception. So again, if you're extreme negative, you're probably pretty happy that you're there and everybody else is with you. Just as if you're extreme positivity, you're probably actually being negative and like unhappy that nobody's with you.
Well, what are you telling everybody if you're saying
extremes?
I'm extreme positive.
But extreme and always, because we're going to have these moments where we fluctuate or oscillate back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the always, not the once in a while.
And I guess that's what you're trying to bring it back to, is that you obviously aren't being honest with yourself or with anybody else.
Yeah, because you're either lying to yourself that this is, a horrible habit, and you're, while you're wallowing in misery, meaning that you're, misery loves company, you're being super awesome about it. So secretly, if you're like, yay, I'm happy, even though you're not. Same regard is, I'm being super positive and, doing my thing and everything. Yeah, you're not being honest with yourself, because you wouldn't be extreme positive or extreme negative. You would be as close to just flowing through being impeccable to get to no assumptions and doing your best, so that you could be a part of the us, the we, the everything. You're being selfish enough that you're taking care of you to flow through, take nothing personal, so you're being aware enough that you can truly be selfless. Yes.
I like that. Yes, I was following. Yeah,
I'm aware.
I was actually just looking up persona. Anyway,
just I would say the representation of an idea or personality.
Well,
yeah. Not that we're going to sit here and debate that.
Persona is where the word person comes from.
Or personality.
It's actually the name of
representation of
the name of the mask, and the mask that you would wear on a stage play, like a Greek. So that your voice could project. There was actually a megaphone built into the mask, and that was called the persona.
How intelligent we were.
That was the mask you would wear to present yourself to the crowd. That was your persona. So, if you ever hear me reference, don't call me a person. That's what I'm talking about. I am not a persona.
Why do I want to say don't call it a comeback?
Don't call me Francis.
Sit down, Francis. In the comments.
Lighten up, Francis.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think that's gonna be our new thing. We're gonna say in the comments, and you should just
stripes.
No,
come on.
Never mind.
No, we're
nix the comments.
not doing that now, are we?
Not in the now.
I totally ruined that.
Dude. But you were doing your best to be impeccable with your word, without taking anything personal and making no assumptions, man. That's what. So, I love that they expressed that agreement number one. Be impeccable with your word is the most important. When I feel it would be the extreme opposite or the other side of forgive yourself, right? Which to me almost says like, hey, you got to be in the balance of make no assumptions, take nothing personal. You just float in the wave, bro. Just get on out there and just let it be, man. I am, energy, whatever.
Well, how many times have you done that where, and it's so easy, like if maybe you're started off not really kind of feeling 100%, and then somebody makes a comment about you that you immediately take to heart. You assume that it's true? You agree with it? You allow this person to sway your opinion?
First statement, assume that it's true.
There you go.
That's your ego.
You've broken that.
That's your ego kicking in and telling you, because again, you're like, hey, I'm going to go do this. And then your ego's like, but bro, it's Wednesday, it's raining, you got that hole in your shoe. Same regard.
But that's in your doing. I'm saying when somebody else.
Well, same regard is you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to do this. Ego's like, yeah, you are. You're going to stand up. You're going to go bang this out, bro. You're going to do this. So if somebody tells you to go F yourself, or somebody says, hey, you have the most amazing blue eyes, same regard. Because now all of a sudden, if you're just going to be like, well, I got to F myself. Well, that's just messed up. But now you're in that negative side. Same regard. But same.
You're like, I might be able to work in an extra 5 minutes after lunch.
That's another show.
But don't you see what I just did though? Not taking it personal.
Yeah, you're right. Levity. Yeah, you brought it. Yeah, I get it. See, and but that's another thing is, somebody tells you, hey, you have the most amazing blue eyes. Now you're like, you know what? I really do have them. My blue eyes are the best blue eye. Why? No, you can't do either of those. I mean, not to say you can't, because if you do, again, number 4, forgive yourself.
I mean, I always find it funny. Like, what do you say that like? It's kind of like the same thing when somebody says, "Oh, your child is beautiful." It's like, thanks.
Yeah, right.
Like,
well, so that's
I can't really take credit. It just kind of happened. So that's
why you do. I mean, literal realization as I'm thinking about it. We're talking about it. Yeah, dude. The first one, be impeccable with your word. That's pretty extreme because it's like, I always got to be honest in order to be impeccable. But on the other side, always forgive yourself because you're doing the best you can. That's that extreme positive, extreme negative, and it just pushes you right back. If you're taking nothing personal, if you're making no assumptions, it kind of pushes back out to the outside, that it kind of brings it back around where it's like, I'm just in the flow.
And to make a mistake is one thing. But like you said, if you're in the flow, you can forgive yourself and move on, and
See, that's the thing. If you're in the flow, you wouldn't forgive yourself because you wouldn't even be aware of that. You wouldn't be taking it positive or negative or making an assumption. You would just keep going.
It would almost be instantaneous. It would be bloop bloop.
Because you'd be in the now, in the flow.
In the now.
You wouldn't have time.
Who loves to reference the now.
Well, I love Mel Brooks, but you're not going to be able to forgive yourself or be impeccable with your word you're just going to be in the flow. Nothing personal, no assumptions, just are.
Hi, I'm Flo.
Oh, I love it.
You see how I did that? I just.
This is how you and I continue that balance.
Well, I mean, and if you know what time it is right now, it's amazing that I'm still up at all, and I still have to drive home.
Oh, I was just going to say, has it been more than 4 hours? You should call your doctor. Dad joke.
Oh, man.
Yeah, anybody who got that. Yeah.
Oh,
hilarious. Yeah, that's right. I'm awesome.
How many of these pills did you take?
Who took any? I didn't take any pills at all. I just felt like coming in and bragging about it, bro. My bad. I'm just trying to be impeccable with my word here. Yeah. No, that's. I really like the fact that doing agreement number 1 with episode 11, the whole 111 make it 3. I think that was beautiful.
Tesla, we love you.
Dude,
Keeping it real.
you know what I mean? Like
Tesla, we love you.
one for me, one for the homies. We just poured it out right there. There it is.
So coming soon. Definitely gonna want to.
I think you need a different voice.
Test out these.
I'm gonna say coming
tuning,
to a
the
theater
tuning
near
forks.
you.
Yes. That's going to be coming soon. So we're going to have to definitely check that out.
Now,
on and off the mic, because I don't even know what that's going to do to the mic. It's probably.
Well, no, we'll deal with that later. May I ask you, what are these tuning forks pitched to and for a purpose of? Do you have this information?
Let's see. Let's see if I can find that while we're.
Yeah, you gotta pull up. This is why we need a fact checker. If we haven't done this already, we're probably gonna put a disclaimer on it, which means the fact checker that we're now have hired already for the fact of it's gonna be fix it in post editing. They're gonna have to fix all of those things every episode.
We're definitely gonna have to end very soon because not only am I exhausted, but I really have to pee. All right. Anyway, 1, 2,
thank
3,
you for being impeccable with your word.
Right. So we have.
Well,
there's actually 8.
Well, I see what. Well, funny how there's 7 chakras and there's
Well, yeah, but there's right. I mean.
Well, so what would be 7 and 8?
I mean, technically, there's.
That would be 15, which is 1 plus 5, which is 6. So you have
you
8 tuning forks with 7 chakras.
Because there's actually points that are outside your
physical
body,
which is what I would assume the 8th is, because that's probably going to bring it back around again. With
yeah,
the
I think that it probably says that in here that it probably ties everything in. But let's see.
Yeah, because
I don't want to mumble on the mic, so let me just.
Well, you said that you purchased 2. What was you said you had 2, right?
It's a set.
Oh, so you purchased all 8.
It's a set.
Okay. No, I was under the assumption that you said you had I think we were talking about binaural. That's probably why I put that
So this is
number
saying
2 on it.
Oh, I thought this kind of sounded weird, but they were rated pretty good. So
they were what?
Rated pretty good.
Oh, rated rather well.
Rated rather well for use in specifically in healing.
Then they were rated good. If they did well.
Stop it.
Read it.
The chakra set or another set of forks. It can be used with the chakra. 7 forks, and unlike the harmonic spectrum, which is tuned to the Pythagorean scale, also known as the just scale, these forks are not based on a musical scale. They are based on the mathematical rotation of the planets around the sun.
Whoa.
The chakra tuning forks work more on the cosmic multi-dimensions of our chakras, our subtle bodies, and other energy gateways and pathways.
Sounds like making sure that your petals are opening and expressing themselves.
In comparison, the harmonic spectrum set works at a more physical level with the chakra than the chakra tuning forks. The harmonic spectrum set is tuned to the just scale and is more in touch with the physical plane of existence. The physical plane is denser, more... Alright, whatever. Oh, okay. 194.18 hertz is the root chakra.
Wait, say that one again.
194.18 hertz.
194.18.
It's very specific.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Well, because maybe that's the resonant factor, so that the actual frequency it outputs is not that.
The root fork is the same frequency
Or
as an Earth day, which is 24 hours. The energy is dynamic, stimulating, vitalizing, and tonifying. The color is orange red, and the frequency that influences the physical body, very effective on the pubic bone and coccyx. So you could actually place it on that.
Well, yeah, because think about it, it's the same idea that we're talking about the binaurals or the frequency of, kind of like the troops marching around the circle.
Oh yeah.
If you resonate,
Jericho, yeah.
So it resonating at whatever that was, the 0.1, blah blah blah. If it resonates at that frequency, so that in using it through you, it actually causes you to resonate at the correct frequency. So while this is that point, it causes you to be at that 144.
And maybe I would love to learn more about this. If anybody out there does energy work, I would love to know more about this and not actually have to pay for it.
In the comments, our fact checker will get back to you.
This would be a great place for you to kind of, if you wanted to come on the show or whatever. But I would love to learn more about that, because basically that's in essence, that's the way I view it, is that so all these chakra points, they're actually supposed to be, it's like a whirlpool, right? So there's the energy spins through there and spins off to the next chakra point and so on and so forth. Like they spin off each other. There's certain things about directions of spin and this and that.
One little pond filling up and then overflowing to the next, to the point that it causes each little pond, as it flows into the next, to be a slight whirlpool.
Right. So a blockage in one area affects more than just that area. So that it affects stuff upstream, downstream. Yeah.
The trickle up or the trickle down.
But if you think about, say, this frequency, so we got 194.18 hertz. They're saying is the frequency of the root or the base chakra. So the way I view this is that say that's where if you could imagine it as a physical blockage, it's an energy blockage. But if you could imagine it as a physical blockage, because it makes it easier to imagine.
It's almost like having a dirty pond where the leaves are clogging up the overflow, so you can't get into the next one. So
right, and you bring in this frequency that matches that tiny pond.
It cracks the leaves out and cleans the filter.
It just breaks it up and allows it to flow on. So maybe it'll get stuck further up, or further down, but...
The likelihood is probably, but doesn't mean that it has to stay there. But yeah, it's.
But just like anything else, like if you think about it, it would be easier to break up when it gets there, because it's already kind of... Well, you just kind of have to continue...
Yeah, as you poke the leaves, they just tore open and made space, and
So I want to try and finish answering your question. See if they have them all here, because I see the second and then it stops.
Well, maybe that's for the next episode, bro.
So the next one says sacral. The sacral is the synodic moon, which is the full moon. This tone stimulates sexual energy and supports erotic communication.
Yeah, we're going to take this to the next episode.
Also good for women's cycles and for disturbance of the glandular and lymphatic systems.
There you go. Next episode.
So that one is 210.42 hertz. 210.42 hertz.
Again, let's take it to the next episode on that. This has been a great talk.
And these are just shipped, so we'll see. We'll be getting them soon.
Agreement 1, great talk.
It was a great
awesome
talk.
Place, because we want to wrap this up, because you're tired.
And I'm in the now.
Yeah, we're in the now. we're not in the let's quote everything. I'm going to tell you the answer. No, dude.
I know I'm getting beyond tired. So
yeah, that's what happens. I gotta corral you right back in. There you go. I'm going to do that. It's my job. Agreement 1, great conversation. I love the fact that we had the 111, the number 3. We did it.
Yeah, we got
great closure.
So we're
culmination.
We got one more for our 12, and then that was our Well, that was my marker that we make 12 first, and then we could kind of take a breather.
So green room 11, we're gonna do your tuning fork, because you're gonna play with them. You're gonna figure out frequencies. You're gonna come with some knowledge on it. So we're not just sitting here trying to scan and fill air. So we can do that as a starter, as well as it's gonna be that build up to number 12, so we can talk about both of those things in the next green room. Sounds lovely.
Yeah, I have to look up too. That'll be another thing. I don't know if there's an actual book on those that sold separately, so I'll have to look into that too.
Yeah. We'll have that on the next episode.
Yeah.
How many times can I say next episode?
All right. It's
time to go.
Yeah, that's what he's telling me. He's like, you don't have to go home.
You were telling me.
You don't have to go home, but you
I'm
can't stay here. So, here's the DJ flipping the lights on and off.
Well, you can stay here because you can just do on the repeat, or you can
what?
Push that button.
You got it.
Thank you, fam. We'll see you all next time.
Love y'all.
You will see when you push that button.